Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Okay, wonderful. And Tiffany, isn't it the same weekend that you had your bat mitzvah in 2018? Well, mazel tov. It came up on my stuff, too. It's wonderful. It's great to have all of you here. As we start our service, I just wanted to share with you that for those of you who are not familiar with it, meaning if you weren't here last week, which is the only time we've used it, we have a brand new prayer book that we'll be using through the month of Elul and for Slichot. We often add liturgy to what we're doing, but this is a chance for us to not have to use two different prayer books, but to just be able to stick to one. What that means, just to let you know, is that we will not be doing a Torah reading tonight, as it doesn't have a Torah service in it, which I found was fascinating. I guess there aren't a whole lot of us left in this world that do Friday night Torah readings. So just follow along. I'll be sure to give a lot of page numbers. The other thing is, some of you might not recognize Kit, but this is Kit Brewer, and Kit is going to be helping us as an intern this year, and we have the honor to hear Kit's very first of our Torah that they're giving. So look forward to that.
We're going to start together on page 3 with the words of Dodi Lee. How wonderful it is for us to be together. We continue singing together the words of Hine Matov Umanayim. Hine Matov
Hine
We turn now to page 6, and I invite you to join me at the top of the page. Before we slip too quickly into the season of the soul, let there be a Sabbath of Sabbaths for the heart. Before the music of creation's majesty, let there be a silent praise of existence. Before the feast of sanctified words, let there be a poetry of solitude. Before we enter the palaces of prayer, let us find within ourselves a place of calm. Before we revel in the wondrous and sublime, let there be an honest inward gaze. Before the rites and ceremonies of awe, let there be quieter days, an island of attentiveness.
We continue together on page 8.
We turn now to page 11. At the top of the page, in the beginning, emptiness and chaos, a great darkness over the deep. The Spirit of God moved over the waters, explosion of light, the long chain of emerging life. Behold, it was very good. These candles evoke the very first light. Out of the darkness came reason, purpose, consciousness of beauty, the power to discern and do what is right. Let us hold the light in our hearts. Let us bring it with us into the darkest corners of creation. Where there is pain and fear, let us offer the light of love. I'd like to invite Tiffany up to help light the candles on page 10.
Amen. Thank you. We continue together singing the words, if you know them, of Lechu Neranana from Psalm 95 on page 13. Lechu Neranana, Lechu Neranana, Lechu Neranana, Adonai. Lechu Neranana, Lechu Neranana, Lechu Neranana, Adonai. Naria, Naria, V'tzuri, Shenu Nekadma Vrana V'Torah. Naria, Naria, V'tzuri, Shenu Bizmiru Naria Lo. Lechu Neranana, Lechu Neranana, Lechu Neranana, Adonai. Lechu Neranana, Lechu Neranana, Lechu Neranana, Adonai. Continue together on page 15. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishachavu
Next time you will not leave me hanging. We turn to page 20.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Seidchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
On page 21, peace is with you. Angels of stillness, enter. Bless me, give me rest. You can read along with me. God knows I need you. God knows I'm asking. Harried, impatient, at war with myself. Make your home in my soul. Fill my home with your light. Let me breathe in your quiet. Help me savor shalom. Peace is with you. Angels of stillness, enter. Bless me, give me light. We continue on the next page.
Shalom, We turn the page and continue with the words of Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkadal Shemir Rabba Ve'almat Yivrach Yirtev Yamlich Malchutei B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayedeko Bet Yisrael Bagala Bagala u'v'izman Kariv V'yimeru Amen Yehei Shemei Rabba Mevarach Le'ala mulal me'al maya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitbahar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemi Dekudesha B'richu V'hela mikol bechata v'shirata Dush bechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma V'yimeru Amen. Please rise if you are able, and we join together on the words of Baruch Hu on page 26. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam abad.
We continue in Hebrew on page 28. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechochma poteach she'arim, uvibuna meshane itim, umechalif et hazmanim, umasader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakir kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mibnei choshech, v'choshech mibnei or, umavir yom uvein v'layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. Continue on page 30. Love beyond all space and time, your love enfolds your people, Israel. We receive it in your teaching, your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. For you are blessed, the one who loves your people, Israel.
We continue together with the Shema on page 32. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto le'olam va'ed.
You may be seated and turn to page 35. You shall love the ones who are close with all your heart, with all your spirit, with all your strength. Remember these words, inscribe them on your heart. Love them when they struggle, when they sadden and disappoint you. Love them when they fail. See the good within them, even when they can't. Look at them and listen, even when it's hard. Be grateful for their guidance, even their reproof, when they save you from yourself. Love them when they give you joy, and love them when they don't. When you lie down, let go of anger. When you rise up at dawn, begin again. Praise them for their deeds at home. Speak to them in public with respect. Bind yourself to the ones you love, with promises kept and vows fulfilled. Open to them the gates of your heart, the doorway of your soul, and let them know you. So shall the ones you cherish feel your love, your presence, and your care. We continue on the middle of page 38. Truth and faith. These are fundamental to our existence. God alone is their source, and we are Israel, a people of God. Our sovereign saves us from tyranny, redeems us from its violence through countless wonders, from its brutality through great feats beyond measure. We are Israel, a people of God, the giver of life who could not let our feet give way, the maker of miracles for us against Pharaoh, of signs and portents in the land of Egypt, the one who brought our people from Israel from its midst to enduring freedom.
We continue on page 40. Vada Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo miyad chazach mimenu. Baruch ata Adonai, Gaal Yisrael.
May we spend
continue on the bottom of page 44. We lie down in darkness. This day with its burdens passes away. Raise us up to the light of a new day. Change us with the season. Give us rest and renewal. Make us eager for the dawn.
We continue together on page 46.
Please rise for the tefillah on page 48, and we will continue through to page 54.
Adonai Sefatai tiftach ufi agitei latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imot, U'mevi Geulah Livnei Bneihem, Lema'an Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezra Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, B'chayei HaKol atah Rav L'Hoshia. Murid atah, B'chalkei l'chaim b'chesed, B'chayei HaKol b'rachamim rabim. Tzomech noflim v'rofei cholim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato l'shenei afar, V'chamocha ba'al gevurot, U'lido melech, Melech be'mit u'mechayem Mashiach Yeshua. V'ne'aman ata l'chayot hakol. Baruch ata Adonai mechayei hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yalelucha selah. Baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. We continue on page 56. You sanctified the seventh day for the sake of your name, a final defining act in the creation of heaven and earth. Among all days, you blessed this one. Among all seasons, you sanctified this one. And thus it is written in your Torah, completed now were the heavens and the earth and their whole array. And on the seventh day, God completed the work that had been done. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and called it holy. For on it, God ceased from all the work of creating that God had done. We continue on page 62. Eternal our God, your people Israel yearns for your favor. Receive their prayer with loving acceptance, and may you always desire your people's worship. Divine One, close to all who call upon you, bring your grace and presence near to those who serve you. Pour forth your Spirit on us. We continue on the bottom of 64. And may our eyes see your merciful return to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato l'tzion. Blessed are you whose divine presence is felt again in Zion. On page 66, we pray together. God who is ours, God of all generations, to you we are grateful forever. Rock and protector of our lives, your saving power endures from age to age. We thank you and tell the tale of your praise, your power in our lives, your caring for our souls, the constant miracle of your kindness. Morning, noon, and night, we call you goodness, for your compassion never ends. We call you mercy, for your love has no limit. We call you hope, now and for all time. We continue on page 68. And for all these gifts, O God of majesty, may your name come to be blessed and praised, our gratitude a daily offering until the end of time. And may all life resound with gratitude and faith in praise of your name. God, you free us and strengthen us. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'el lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise.
We continue together on page 70.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata
Adonai hamavarech et amo Yisrael ba shalom. We now take a moment for silent prayer and private meditation.
Initially, when I was tasked with writing a Dvar Torah, I was really looking forward to writing about my experience this summer at URJ Camp Gucci. I had learned, seen, and felt so much during my first Jewish camp experience, and I couldn't wait to share some of that with you all. Being surrounded by prayer, music, community, and more kosher food than I'd ever really seen in my life, I grew in innumerable ways as a leader and in my Judaism. The more I sat, studied, and pondered, however, I felt that there was a more pressing matter that deserved my attention. I remember getting the text from my mom on the day the Tree of Life shooter was sentenced to death, sending me an article about the court's decision. I was still at camp. I sat up in my bunk so fast that I hit my head on the bed above me. I didn't know what to think or feel, and I stewed on that discomfort for several days. On one hand, I felt a certain sense of vindication. A man that hated Jews so much that he thought to kill them was reaping the consequences of his actions. On the other hand, I've been staunchly opposed to the death penalty for years. What did all of this mean? Like any good rabbinic intern, I thought, where do we turn to for answers? I combed through countless commentaries and collections, looking for Jewish perspectives on capital crime and punishment. I also made several trips to the veranda where faculty lives at camp to ask for Rabbi Karen's insight. Eventually, I came to Parshat Ki Tetzeh. This week's Torah portion can be a difficult one to read. Containing a whopping 74 of our 613 commandments, Ki Teitse spells out both regulations we might find applicable to today and others that we may prefer to gloss over. Helping a stranger, building safety measures, and treating animals ethically are all things that we can and should strive to do. Other things, however, like the laws on captive women, rebellious sons, and excluding people from marrying into our community, are a lot harder to reconcile. Ki Teitse also includes several prescriptions for capital crime and punishment. Putting people to death for stuff and sweeping out evil from our midst appears pretty frequently all over the Torah, but here there are even prescriptions on the procedures for executions. So there we have it, as it would seem. Commit a capital crime and receive capital punishment. Well, it's a little more complicated than that. 1,000 or so years later, the rabbis of the Talmud were not super keen on capital punishment. Stoning your son for being a drunken jerk was beyond the pale, even back then. In order to set the Jewish people up for success, they made a bunch of strict requirements that all had to be met before someone could be sentenced to death. Sanhedrin 84b in the Talmud states, "Those who are liable for the various death penalties stated in the Torah, the court executes them only when the following elements are present: the congregation, represented by the court of 23 judges, and 2 witnesses, and a forewarning just before the defendant commits the transgression." Rabbi Yehuda placed significant emphasis on this last piece, that the defendant had to have been informed that their actions could garner them the death penalty. With any one of these elements missing, the defendant could not receive the death penalty. Furthermore, various rabbis discussing the Sanhedrin in Mishnah Makot posited that the Sanhedrin that executed someone every 7 years was a bloody court. Rabbi Elazar argued that once every 70 years was too much. Further still, Rabbis Tarfon and Akiva stated that if they had been on the Sanhedrin, they'd never have executed anyone. To the rabbis of the Talmud, it was far more just to see 1,000 guilty people walk free than put an innocent person to death. This definitely muddies the waters some. Even now, when we'd like to think our systems of justice are more sophisticated, and for lack of a better word, more just, capital crime and punishment remains a very complicated issue. Since the death penalty was reinstated in Ohio, 1 person is exonerated for every 5 executions. Exonerees spend 20 years on average in prison for crimes they did not commit, and that's not even to mention those who have been exonerated posthumously. Taking the role that race plays in our justice system into account, Black people make up less than 15% of Ohio's population, but 56% of our death row. There are also 33% of those executed and 72 of those exonerated, according to Ohioans to Stop Executions. I'm certainly not here to tell you how you should feel about this. I know there are people listening that were personally affected by this tragedy, and I'm still not 100% sure on how I feel about it. But I want to pose a question. Is it our place to decide when the death penalty is justified and when it isn't? Is it right for us to pick and choose? Where does that leave us? The racial bias inherent to the criminal justice system in America, and one of the most hideous hate crimes in U.S. history, are worlds apart. The man who killed all of those innocent people in Pittsburgh is guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt, and I've seen plenty of arguments from rabbis that he would even meet the Sanhedrin's stringent requirements for such a sentence. But I think it's more complex than that. Some of the victims and victims' families showed tremendous grace after this senseless tragedy, maintaining the stances against the death penalty that they already held. There are broader implications, too, for our perspectives of justice and humanity as a people. There's a delicate balance between what is just and what is merciful. With the high holidays fast approaching, rabbis, I want us to consider the power of mercy. On both Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we chant Unatana Tokef before Kedusha. It says, "You are difficult to anger and easy to appease, for you do not desire the death of the condemned, but that he turn from his path and live." During the high holidays, we appeal to a power greater than God's wrath or judgment, God's forbearance. I believe in the pursuit of goodness and justice that we should strive to enact a mercy like this. I also think that it's our responsibility to build a justice system that we can believe in, one that we can trust to truly enact justice. At this time of year, when we're looking inward and coming to terms with the wrongs we've done, it's important for us to find that balance and to decide who and what we can judge. We must consider humanity, ours and that of others, and use mercy and judgment in equal measure to inform our decisions. Whether you believe the Tree of Life verdict is deserved, unjust, or you're still not sure, our tradition tells us that we must always pursue what we think is right, and there is no one beyond forgiveness. Shabbat Shalom.
Nishaberach avotenu ve'imotenu, nishivarach v'rapeh et hacholim. May the one who has blessed and kept our ancestors in every generation, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, continue to bring mercy and health and goodwill to all among us who are in need of healing. We pray for healing. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim. Blessed are you, O God, who brings healing to those in need of healing. At this time, we think specifically of Levi Schrader, Anna Pullman, Bob Hughes, Patty Martin, James Weston, Isaac Stoller, Kazimira Cairo, Jeremy Watts, Mariah Strickland, Eileen Eady, David Woods, Charles Fee, Kim Howell, Eleanor Must, Catherine Cooper, Sid Gross, Cicely Nathan, Jim Locke, Gary Pacernick, Bob Kahn, and Steve Samuels. Are there other names to be brought forward? I invite you to call those as my hand goes around the room. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim. Blessed are you, O God, who brings healing to those in need of healing, as we turn to page 77. If you are able, we invite you to rise as we turn to page 78 for Aleinu.
Lana Afnu Korim
seated. At this time, our thoughts turn to loved ones whom death has taken from us in recent days. We are in a period of Shloshim for Gary Goldflies. We also remember those who died at this season in years past. Our hearts are open as well to the wider circles of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. We are observing yahrzeits this evening for Molly Unger, Lillian E. Finn, Samuel Tannenbaum, Saul Tandy, Martin Howard Bierman, Ronald Predikin, Bernard Goldman, Benjamin Stein, David J. Weinberg, Ida Rosenthal, Nancy May Hollander, Emma Holtz Liebensberger, Marjorie L. Flagel, Robert Martin Stern, Rosa Dora Diamond, Harry Mark Schrager, David Levine, Sylvia Cantor, Milton Bennett, Saul L. Myers, Dora Rudin, Marvin Adam Levine, Jack Schwartz, Tammy Brown Hedger, Isaac M. Liebensberger, Aubrey DeVay, Fanny Retzky, Ruth Lieberman, and Sydney F. Ressler. If there are others to be named or perhaps pronounced more correctly, I invite you again to call those forward as my hand goes around the room. I invite those who are mourning or who are remembering to please rise first. We rise together with love and support as we recite the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, which may be found on page 86. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, Uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mivarach le'alam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei dekudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always and only be for a blessing.
You may be seated. We look to the words of those who sow on page 87.
Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy.
We turn now to page 89 and hope that Matt comes back in the room. Nobody pay any attention to him when he comes in, right? No one wants to be called out. But we turn to page, there he is. Come on up, Matt. You don't ask about something unless you're willing to do it yourself. So let's join together on page 89. Let us ascend. As we hear the call of community, the voice of return, let us ascend as we feel the pull and power of tradition. Let us ascend toward forgiveness and peace of mind, toward heartfelt change and acts of repair. Let us ascend to the sound of the shofar. Let us enter the gates of Teshuvah. Reach deep into the sanctuary of the heart. Reach beyond to the infinite and eternal. Reach deep with every quiet breath. Reach beyond, summoned by the ancient ringing blast of the shofar. Please rise as we turn to page 91. Baruch atah Adonai shomea teruah. Blessed are you, Adonai, who hears the sounding of the shofar. Tekiah. Shivarim teruah. Tekiah. Yasher koach. You may be seated. We conclude our service with the hopeful words found on page 92. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom. May God give strength to our people. May God bless all people with peace. I want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom and an early Happy New Year. And in just a moment, we will gather together in the foyer for our Kiddush and Motzi. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.